I and I roots and culture. Bless up. Skido!
I'm going to take you on a journey. A journey where all of a sudden, everything that your mothers, grandfathers, fathers, all of them went through, and you just all of a sudden remembered everything that they went through for you to be here right now. I remember, I remember the void when I lost my child, lost my husband, lost my father, lost my brother, lost my sister, lost my brother, lost myself. I remember the void, the tears that came with the void, the tears that came with the void. I remember the betrayal by those who looked like me, those who did not want me to be free. It was so hard to swallow, swallowing. I remember swallowing water. I remember swallowing water when I remember swallowing water when I jumped. I remember when I jumped. I remember leaving the stench of death. I remember embracing death. I remember the screams. The screams. I remember the scenes. Lost to amnesia. I remember the scenes. Lost to amnesia. I remember running to the beat of the drum, running to the beat of the drum. It was a signal for us to revolt. I remember running to the beat of the drum. It was a signal for us to revolt. I remember fighting to the beat of the drum. I remember fighting to the beat of the drum. Coupe tête, boulet kai, freedom or death, free or die. I remember the betrayal by those who looked like me, those who did not want me to be free. I remember the rope they tied around our necks, the pain from the branding on our chest. I remember the screams. I remember the scenes. Lost to amnesia. I remember massa whipping. I remember massa whipping. I remember massa ripping. My clothes. I remember massa ripping. The screams. I remember massa ripping open my womb as I hung from the tree. He killed my unborn baby as I hung from the tree. The screams for birthing babies born from Massa's blood. I remember longing for home, longing to see my mother's face. I remember longing to be in my husband's arms. I remember the endless tears, the rivers I cried, the oceans I filled with the waters from my eyes. I remember. It's so hard to remember. It's so heavy, the pain, the hurt, the loss. It's so heavy. I remember the seeds. Lost to amnesia. I remember the seeds. Lost to amnesia. I remember freedom. Dumb was I to think that I was free. How dumb was I to think that I was free? I remember the illusions of being free. I remember strange fruit hanging from a tree. I remember white sheets, ghosts in the night that kidnap, burn, castrated in skin. Kidnap, burn, castrated in skin. Kidnap, burn, castrated in skin. Ghosts in the night that kidnap, burn, castrated in skin and hung us from that tree. I remember the pointing, the smiles, the sea of white faces. I remember the spit, the hoses, the beating. I remember the screams. I remember the scenes. Lost to amnesia. I remember the scenes. Lost to amnesia. I remember the bars, the bullets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 50 bullets ripping into his flesh, her flesh, our flesh. I remember the endless funerals. I remember the endless tears, the rivers we filled with the waters from our eyes. I remember the screams. I remember the scenes lost to amnesia. I remember the boat, the betrayal, the void, the smell, the cries, the drownings, running to the beat of the drum, fighting to the beat of the drum, running to the beat of the drum, fighting to the beat of the drum, the rape of our men and women, the lynchings, the burnings, the pointings, the smiles, the sea of white faces. I remember the spit, the hoses, the beating. I remember running to the beat of the drum, fighting to the beat of the drum, running to the beat of the drum, fighting to the beat of the drum, the bars, the bullets, the funerals, the cries, the tears, the screams. I remember death. I remember dying to come back again and again and again and again. It's so hard to remember. It's so heavy. The pain, the hurt. It's so heavy to remember. I remember the scenes lost to amnesia. Warning, system overload.
I and I rose and culture, bless up, Skido!